Hi, welcome to the Climate Change and Biodiversity podcast. I'm your host, Zoe, and throughout the series, I'll be talking to some of my peers about the effects of climate change on biodiversity and, in turn, the influences on our health. The purpose of this podcast is to increase the awareness and understanding of climate change and its impacts. Today, I'll be sitting down with Tran to discuss the impact on food security and food availability as a result of climate change. All right, hi, welcome.
Hello, Joey. It's my
Hi,
pleasure to come and join you today to talk about how climate change affect on food security system.
thank you. I thought we could just get started by discussing what exactly is food security.
So there are four main components of food security, which is food availability, food accessibility, food utilization, and food system stability. And food security can simply understand is when everyone at all time has access to adequate food for an activity and healthy life.
All right, what is the link between climate change and food security? What's the impact there?
So, as you know, that natural disaster, climate extreme, higher temperature, water scarcity, drought, flood, and greater CO2 concentrate in the atmosphere affect negatively on crop and livestock around the world. So, for example, areas like Bangladesh and Vietnam raising sea level significantly threat to food security. So, coastal farmland are often flooded by salt water, which kill off rice crop. And with half of Vietnam national rice production centered in Mekong Delta, even a minor flood can have major implications. Another example is that countries that have agriculture depend on the use of rainwater will also be affected by climate change during harvest season, with a 50 to 150 millimeter decrease in rainfall per season, leading to long cycle crop. For example, slow ripening maize or grain sorghum.
Right, so due to the extreme weather events, food production is negatively impacted, which then affects food security and stability. Is that right?
Yeah, that correct. So crop grow in high rot area are often move into humid storage facility, leaving them vulnerable to fungal infestation and pests. Rain doesn't always help either. So flooding from the extreme rainfall can also produce toxic mold on crops. The more climate change and the more that extreme climate event become commonplace, the more food we lose on an annual basis. So currently, the food system contribute 21 to 37% of greenhouse gases, meaning that the food losses add to the climate crisis, but do nothing for food security or malnutrition level.
Wow, so that's a pretty big contribution to greenhouse gases. I was wondering if there is any impact on infrastructure that you know of, and if there is, to what extent?
Yeah, so surprisingly, yes, climate change is also likely to result in damage to the infrastructure and asset needed to food, produce foods. Um, did lead to increased preparation and transportation costs. As a result, food resources are limited. Price will increase to new highs. Therefore, will affect the affordability of food and the amount people can access to food will be reduced. Um, there are study in 2012 so that extreme weather event that's occurred in 2006 in several parts of the world have reduced zero use, and for this reason, world food price rose. Lack of access to healthy food forced individuals to change their eating behavior and choose to consume lower costing food. And some, as you know, like some of the food like red meat, dairy, product it pay expensive, and lack of consuming the particular food, leading to rise in iron and zinc deficiency rates. Another fact that really like shocked me is that many of the world hungry countries rely on agriculture as their main industry, which means that family is seasonally in keeping with what their harvest or their neighbor harvest bring in. So if the previous supply of food have been used and the next crop are not quite ready to pick, family often skip one or more meal per day. And in many areas, climate change had prolonged the hunger crisis.
Okay, that's interesting. So, what can we do to help improve our food security system?
So there are small steps that we can do, such as like reduce food waste, you know,
So,
and
what would you suggest we can do in our own households to reduce our food waste?
so food waste can be used for composting to make fertilizer.
Uh-huh.
Um, to be able to do it, I think like we have to like educating consumer so they know general or basic information about food wasted and food security, and even to just learn how to composting to make fertilizer. And also another way we can work toward defeating climate change. And that is why I'm so glad that you invite me today. So I can share all the information about food security, and people don't know much about it can gain the knowledge in order to help combat the issue.
Yeah, I definitely agree as well. I think just having the conversations has probably the most impact on our communities. So I think we've definitely learnt a lot today. So thank you for your discussion on climate change and food security.
Yep, you're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed our discussion today. As always, feel free to listen and engage with our other episodes. For more information and access to other events or resources, you can visit the Global Climate Change Week website at www.globalclimatechangeweek.net, or feel free to follow Global Climate Change Week on Twitter at GCC Week.